Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the COSAM Spring Leadership Council meeting. I'm Edward Thomas. Have the pleasure of serving as the Dean of the College of Sciences and Mathematics. And um, let's start with our agenda for today. I'll give a short presentation, hopefully leave some time for some questions and answers. Uh, we'll also be doing awarding of two COSAM awards later this morning to our Young Faculty Scholar and our Service Outreach Award. And we'll also have a panel later this after lunch on the COSAM student experience. This evening, hopefully the weather will hold out and there will be the Sips and Stars, and we'll have viewing from our astronomy terrace. And I am told reasonably reliable sources that a certain basketball game might be also played that will compete with the astronomy. So, but I'm not sure what might be going on this evening that people might be getting excited about. And then tomorrow morning, we'll have uh, a, a presentation from our new chair of geosciences, and we're going to be featuring some new activities that are going on in the geosciences department. Before I get started, I just want to apologize. Normally, I like to be out here and greeting all of you as you all come in. Um, our budget is due this afternoon to the provost office, and the budget director and I were still tweaking the budget until about 4 minutes ago. And so but we've got our budget submitted. And so apologies for hiding out a little bit, but the college's business also has to go on as well. Uh, I, I'm going to try and go through this as quickly as I can. There's a lot of information here. Um, every time I try to put a presentation like this together, it gets longer, and I keep telling, no, I want it shorter. I asked the departments to reduce the stuff that I gave them templates to reduce, and that did not work. So I blame the chairs already. Some chairs were good, and you'll see that. Paul, there you go. Others just kept stacking more information in. But I think we have some really exciting things coming up for the future of COSAM. A really nice thing is our leadership team has been in place now for most of the last year. There's no changes. The one thing that is going to happen is that we're doing a search for a new director of communications. That process, they've actually started interviewing candidates for that, and we're hoping that by early summer, we'll have a new communication director for the college. The other thing that we hope that will happen early to mid-summer is a completely new COSAM website that will be completely revamped. Those of us that are here internally have very strong feelings in the negative direction about our website, and are really looking forward to a complete revamping um, of the public face of COSAM. So that's something to look forward to. So for those of you that have been here for the last few years, since I became dean, we've kind of centered a lot of our discussions on this theme we're calling being bold, coming up with bold ideas in the student experience and in how we do research, how we lead the college. And also, as you know, that we've also just gone through a strategic planning process. And so we've kind of merged those two. This is kind of the logos that I've been using for the last couple of years. And we're actually going to transform that into what we refer to as the elements of our strategic plan. Here we're talking about brilliant student experiences, how COSAM and Auburn students integrate with COSAM, the outstanding research and innovation that comes out of the college, how we support our faculty and staff and students and how we lead the university in those areas, and then doing those things that are going to be distinctly part of the College of Sciences and Mathematics. Through some clever work from many of us, it actually, we got the acronym there to actually work for us. And so these are the elements of the COSAM strategic plan. And as I talk about the different programs in the college, I'm going to try and connect that to these elements that are part of our strategic plan, and then talk a little bit at the end about some of the future directions that we want to take the college. So to first begin just talking about our academic programs and how that interfaces with both the student experience that our faculty have, as well as the really exciting research activities that we're engaging in as well. So quickly going through the departments, as you know, we've got 5 academic departments. We'll talk a little bit about each one, and our program in biomedical sciences. So in terms of the work being done in biology, Dr. Cobain has chosen to highlight the fact that they've gotten more than 100 plus papers, 240 presentations just in the past year. They have identified some new work by Michael Smith, who is doing a fellowship at the Research Center in Berlin. Dr. Dan Warner from Biological Sciences, was last year's Young Faculty Scholar. Biology is now teaching over 40,000 student credit hours. And student credit hours here at Auburn, that's the currency for basically a lot of the basis of our budget, how we measure departments one to another. COSAM is number 2 in the university in the total number of student credit hours that we teach to Auburn University students. The College of Liberal Arts is the only college that has more student credit hours than COSAM. Biology, at over 40,000 student credit hours, is actually number 2 in the university in terms of a department that teaches, that has student hours that are generated by a single department. COSAM has the number 1 and number 2, and I will get to number 1 in a few minutes. We also had an outstanding teacher in COSAM. Last year was Kate Buckley, and there have been 2 new instructors, Alicia Hawthorne and Wanil Choi, that have been added to the faculty in biological sciences. In terms of the Department of Chemistry, they've been adding new faculty over the last couple of years. Rahul and Paul were in 2022, Katie in 2023. Maddie just started this past year, an organic chemist, and Philip Pawlowski has he signed the paperwork? Oh, Doug, has he started? Yeah, we're right at the edge. But Philip will be joining our faculty in fall 2025. And as you can see, we're expanding the research that we are doing in the Department of Chemistry. And in particular, I want to highlight, this will also be highlighted a little bit later, Chris Grieco is a new NSF Career Award winner for this past year in chemistry and biochemistry. There's a theme here that you're merging, the chemistry and biochemistry. Their student credit hours are also beginning to grow. At last check, chemistry and biochemistry, I think, was either 6 or 7 in the university in terms of the amount of teaching that they're doing. The demand for chemistry courses is stunning and growing. And this is actually one of the challenges that we're actually going to be facing. And I'll talk about it a little bit later. How do we manage the overall growth in Auburn, at Auburn, and how does that impacting our departments? In terms of geosciences, that department is also growing. For those of you that may recall, geosciences started an interdisciplinary PhD program in 2017, 2018, and that program has grown by leaps and bounds in the last several years. They also increased the number of graduates that they've had, and also substantial increases in the grant funding that they have. Particularly this year, two of their faculty, Haibo Zhao, was named a fellow of the American Association of the Advancement of Science. I can actually now say that because yesterday the embargo on that was lifted. So this is brand new information. And our new chair, Tim Hawthorne, was named as a fellow of the American Association of Geographers. And for geosciences, field work is really important, and they've launched several new field-based courses. And then they've got new faculty that are going to be brought on board. Their lecturer and their faculty member in human environment interactions have both signed on. And I won't steal Tim's thunder. So this is why that one photo there is nicely blurred out. So for those of you that will be here in the morning, you will get a chance to tour and see the GeoExplore Auburn Mobile Science Lab, and that is a new initiative for geosciences that was kicked off when we brought Tim in to chair the geosciences department. Our colleagues in math and stats have also had their own recognition. Hal Schenk was elected a fellow of the American Association for the Advancement of Science. That was this past fall? Yeah. So, and Paul Zhang also received a career award just in the last few weeks. So the NSF Career Award is a pretty prestigious award for junior faculty in the sciences, awarded by the National Science Foundation. COSAM has had a tremendous track record. I believe now this is either year 14 or 15 in a row where COSAM has received NSF, faculty in COSAM have received NSF Career Awards across all of our departments. In math and stats, this is one of the hardest fields in order to get a career award. There have only ever been 3 awarded in the state of Alabama. We now have 2 in our math and stats department. The other school, someplace north of us, got the first one, but no, they didn't. Which was the other one? Was it South Alabama? Got the other one okay, the other school to the south of us got the other one, and so we have, but we now double them. So there we go. Salim has received a LEAPS award. Yan Zhao received a award from the Department of Energy, and Luke Oding has a new grant from the Air Force and a fellowship from them as well. Okay, so since everyone's bragging about the number of student credit hours that they have, mathematics is the #1 generator of student credit hours at the university. So between math and biology and chemistry, in the top 10 student credit departments that generate student credit hours, COSAM has 3. And we have #1 and #2. And more than that, between math and biology, just as departments, they teach more student credit hours than half the colleges at Auburn University, which is just gives you a sense of how much teaching that it's done. If you fold in chemistry, then that's more than most of the other colleges combined. So it's a really remarkable thing that COSAM still has at its core this very, very strong teaching mission, while at the same time also expanding its research footprint as well. And so another really wonderful piece of news, the PhD in statistics and data science was just approved for math and stats, and that was within the last week and a half or so. So all these amazing, really great things are happening within math and stats. They have, I don't know, this is conference number 2000, 2001, I don't know. They have so many conferences that are being hosted here. And for those of us in the college's administration, so the college searched for 14 positions this year, new faculty positions. 7 of them were in the Department of Mathematics and Statistics. We interviewed a lot of mathematicians. Ash owes us so much because we interviewed a lot of mathematicians. And you can see the research areas, hell, I can't even spell half of these things. Random geometries, quantum gravity, stuff. So it's pretty remarkable. These are some really amazing folks that if we once we hopefully close all of these deals, these will be some amazing faculty that we're going to bring into the college. And physics has added a new faculty member this year, Yinong Zhao. She is a theorist that works with new types of materials. Dan Merrill is the winner this year of COSAM's Outstanding Teacher Award. I'll just make one note here, particularly of Mike Fogel. There's going to be hopefully some really good news. There's a new radiation testing center being developed at Huntsville, and Mike will be the director of the testing facility, which, if memory serves, will also bring in some fairly significant research dollars to the College of Sciences and Mathematics from that. And more news is going to be coming out of that. Rafael Bernardi, who's one of our biophysicists, does computational biophysics, has published some really nice new work in ACS Nano. And then in the area of space, highlight 2 things. One, Dennis Bodowitz, who's now, he's an atomic physicist, but also is making use of the new James Webb Telescope for observations. And Uwe Konopka is leading a US microgravity team in my area of research in dusty plasmas, and is doing research on the ISS. Next week, actually, Dennis has, we have our Duncan Lecture, which is our annual lecture on space and astronomy. And we are really fortunate we're going to have Nikki Fox, who is the director of, not of human spaceflight, of the entire Science Mission Directorate for NASA, will be here giving a public lecture next Thursday afternoon. I believe it's at 3. There's hopefully, Will, maybe if you can send an announcement to the folks that are here if they want to join in and attend that lecture. Okay. Our biomedical sciences program, which is now being led by our new assistant dean, Beth Schwartz. I think for those of you that were here in the spring, I believe it was last spring, Beth gave a kind of an update on our biomedical sciences program. We've got the strategic planning process for updating the biomedical sciences program is pretty much completed. We're offering now, these are plans for fall, some new upper level electives based on that strategic planning process that we've been doing. And something that I'm really excited about that our Associate Dean, Maggie Hyland, and Beth have sort of put together is a new professional exam prep course for students in biomedical sciences. It'll be a course that our students will designed for COSAM students to be able to take to prepare them for taking things like the MCAT and the other associated exams for getting ready for entry into professional school. And while COSAM is, we're collaborative, we work with all the different colleges. As many of you know, our biomedical sciences program is the gem of the college. And so this particular program, as other parts of the university are trying to also expand their footprint in biomedical sciences, we want to offer some unique things for our biomedical sciences students. And so these kinds of prep courses are going to be specifically targeted at the COSAM students. And so this is something we think will be value added for our students as well. And as you can also tell, they're working on a new logo that is still being developed. So a couple other just quick points about some of the stats for how we support our students. For our pre-health programs, we accept about 80% of the students that participate in the various COSAM pre-health programs. About 80% are from COSAM. About 20% of the students are non-COSAM students. Again, another gem of our program is the so-called PPAC program, which is the program that has a limited cohort, I believe about 100, 120 students that are specifically targeted to preparing those students for entry into professional school. These are the success rates of those various programs, and you can see that the students that participate in PPAC actually have slightly higher acceptances into professional programs than even our pretty strong cohort of COSAM students. I think what this is suggesting to us is that the transition into these professional programs, the pathway to do that is to be a COSAM student. And so we want to use data like this to continue to further our statement to incoming students that the path to professional school is really through COSAM. I also point out that it was about 2 years ago where COSAM began building its own career services office within the college. That part of COSAM has and of our student services has really ballooned and blossomed and grown. Just in this past year, again, we're a college of about 3,200 students between undergrad and grad. We had 927 students that attended career fairs that were hosted just by the college. And this was something that we felt was a really necessary thing to add to the college, was to create pathways for COSAM students to be able to understand how they can transition to the next steps of their careers. And so this is something that we're just delighted to see how much our students have embraced the addition of career services within the college. Okay. And this is quick data on sort of where our students are going. This is the so-called first destination survey. Where are students about 6 months after they graduate? And pretty good. We're trying to understand. We're still trying to understand and dig into all of this data, but this is something that is a big initiative of the university to try and understand where your students are going in that first 6 months, in that first year or so after graduation. And there's a lot of data here. I'm not even going to pretend to go through all of it. Okay. So I'll pause there. I'll hit you with a ton of information. Any questions at this point? Okay. And recognize that I'm still a faculty member at heart, and if you get me going on stuff, I will just keep going for like 3 hours and stuff. Okay. All right. So barring any questions, and I'm going to open up for questions at the end. So talk with us briefly about some of our research areas. Over the last couple of times, we've been talking about a new research center initiatives that have been started in the college. One of the very first ones that has actually been successfully approved is this iSTEM Connectory. It is an informal STEM education. They have taken off like gangbusters, and they've already started generating additional funding, hosting number of events, impacting students, and this is something that's really quite exciting. It's an initiative that is a cross between COSAM engineering and also university outreach as well. And again, I'm just going to point out, outreach, math. You guys gotta come up with better logos, guys. I'm just saying. But I will also I'll say the good thing. The PhD, when this slide was given to me, it was the data sciences PhD was proposed. I updated this slide to go that it's approved, because between the time that I got the slide about a week ago and this week we got the approval. But there is a new COSAM Center for Data Sciences and Innovation. It's going to focus on the data sciences, on bioinformatics, big data, and this actually is all going to be incorporated, as I'll talk about in a few minutes, into the one of the big COSAM initiatives in our strategic plan as we go forward into the next decade. Oh, a really interesting thing, and many of you may have heard about this, about so in February, I guess it was, there was a news story that was that came out of a scientific paper that was published. Was it, Mark? Was it in Nature? Where was that paper published? Yeah, I don't remember which of the science journals was. And it identified this Henipavirus. I hope I pronounced that even kind of closely, right? Again, not a biologist. And it was discovered in a shrew that was native to the Camp Hill area of Alabama, which is just a few miles from here. Unfortunately, people also started calling it the Camp Hill virus, but anyway, this, for some reason, got an enormous amount of press because this is a kind of virus that, as I understand it, is in the same family of coronaviruses that are, anyway, it can jump species and jumps to human. And there was tons of public press about, next pandemic starts in Alabama and things like that. These are just some quick, web searches. There was articles in the Economic Times, and there was a BBC News, and the CDC actually put out some things about it, about this. Professor Wendy Hood in biological sciences was one of the co-authors of that paper, and was actually one of the faculty that helped identify this. And so lots of press. And it was actually on the front of the Auburn's webpage and things like that. And so a few weeks after all of this, noise came out about this, Wendy Hood and Jason Upton over in biological sciences came to the dean's office. They went first to Mark and then to me, and they said, "Hey, you know, there's all this energy around this, but we really don't know what it's actually going to do." And they wanted to get some small funds to actually investigate whether or not this could actually jump species. And so what we decided to do within COSAM is that we had them put a little white paper together. And so the college has decided we're going to invest a few, you know, not a huge amount of dollars, but a proposal that they gave us said that they could actually work out some of the details about whether or not this virus could actually bind to humans or to pets or other, as they put, economically important species. I think this is the example, this is exactly the sort of thing that the college should be doing, where there is something that is identified, we say how much of an investment, and we're talking an investment literally of $15,000 for the chemicals and the kind of work that they need to do, that we can make a hopefully a very large impact on understanding a disease like this. And so I was very happy. They came, and I'll even put it this way. They asked me for a lower number, and I said, okay, if I increase your number by 50% or 50%, which again got me to $15,000. I said, this will be the only time where I will actually give faculty members more money than they asked for, because it was a relatively small investment. But for the societal impact, I think this was a wise thing to do. And so we're really proud to support this kind of preliminary research, that if they find something, then they can actually then go to one of the funding agencies and then actually start building out a research program around that. So this is something that we're really happy. Well, I don't know if if you find a disease that can jump species, we'll not be so happy, but at least make an investment in this sort of thing. I already mentioned that we've been getting career awards. I mentioned Paul Zhang, Chris Grieco, and Ava Costa-Denova in physics. She received her career award a little bit earlier in late December, early January of this year. So we now have 3 new career award winners in the college, and this continues our streak to, I think Mark and I have lost track of how long it is. It's now almost like, when has there been a year when we've not gotten a career award? And yeah, and it's great. This is something we're very proud of in the college. And then overall, our funding has just been continuing to grow. Our official count for 2024 was right around $27 million in extramural funding, which is a pretty remarkable total. Physics is my home department. We're now hovering somewhere around 9, and so that makes me pretty happy. With the biologists attempting to catch up to us, but you know, I'm just gonna put that there. Okay. No pressure, guys. So just saying. Okay, and I'm gonna in the final few slides, I'm just gonna talk a little bit about the area of our strategic plan. You know, the student experience, new research opportunities, how we support our people. Those are elements that are in common across all of the college's strategic plans, all of the college's strategic plans, and the university's strategic plan. But what makes COSAM distinct? What are the areas that are our strengths and how we contribute to Auburn University? And outreach is, of course, one of those areas. 2 kind of examples of that. One is we have now a long-running partnership with Hyundai, and they so Many of you may have seen little web videos of the dancing robots and that from the company Boston Dynamics. Boston Dynamics is now owned by Hyundai Motor Corporation. They have become a really big supporter of the robotics outreach that COSAM leads. And so they are, they support what we call SCORE, our Center for Robotics Education. And these are just some photos from the latest SCORE showdown. And then a couple of weeks ago, there was the Elementary Science Olympiad. I got the kids to actually take a little selfie with me. There were 300 elementary students there. I tried to squeeze as many of them into the photo. They were super excited. My daughter will probably tell me that I took a picture very badly, which is true, because, you know, I'm old. And so I'm sure any of our students here will go, oh my God, that's a terrible selfie. Hey, you could have done it like this. And yeah, so anyway. Some of the things that we're facing in the next year. So a bit of good news. Auburn University enrollment is on the rise. It is stunning how our enrollment continues to grow. We have about just over 3,000 undergrad. These are just our undergrad numbers. So there's about 3,000 undergrads, and you know we've been holding steady at the number of those students that are, there's something wrong with my data there. Anyway, yeah, I know what it is, yes. So the Auburn University count of residential students that are from Alabama is sitting at about 55-ish%. And COSAM it's come down a little bit, but COSAM has had its percentage of Alabama students has actually been slightly higher than the Auburn University percentage. So we're continuing to serve our Alabama students. What's the bad news? Our enrollment is on the rise. And that is, it's both a good news, bad news picture. Enrollment management, we use that term loosely. There are over 60,000 people, 60,000 students that applied to come to Auburn for next academic year. We only have about 6,300 slots for students. Okay, so the demand for students coming to Auburn is at an all-time high. And let's be honest, a strong enrollment outlook is way preferable to what many other institutions are facing, which is declining enrollments. And our numbers do not look like they're going to be falling anytime soon. There is a strong demand for students to come to Auburn University. But this has big challenges, okay? As my chairs all know, they have to find classroom space and they have to find laboratory space to teach all of these students. Classrooms may have some flexibility, labs, not so much. And so even though we have been letting in more students, how we teach them and how we teach them effectively with a limited, where our lab space is constrained, this is really hard. And I think part of it is there's this long-term impact of the so-called demographic cliff. This is something I talked to the Leadership Council about a year ago, about the worries that nationwide we may have a declining high school student population. However, in the Southeast, it's unclear whether or not that cliff will ever occur. Because in the Sun Belt, the Southeast and into the West, at least the high school student population is, if it's not it's not going down. It's certainly not going down as fast as in the Northeast and in the Midwest. But the demographic cliff is real. There have been 46 universities, mostly small, that have closed in 2024 because of declining enrollments. So where we are with the demand for students to attend Auburn University at an all-time high, this is fantastic from a operational point of view. We're not trying to worry about whether or not we have to close departments or, shrink the campus because there are not enough students about to arrive. It's the exact opposite. Where do we put all of these students? Can we feed them? Is another, ask the various students that are here that are sitting at your tables about how long it takes to get lunch. So they're going to enjoy a free lunch today because now you only have to wait like 10 seconds to get food, as opposed to that Chick-fil-A line is like what, 5 hours now, I think, out of the student center, something like that. It's kind of ridiculous. So this is a challenge. So infrastructure and lab space. COSAM is an expensive unit to run. When we are trying to hire new faculty in chemistry and in biology and in physics, we're putting up 6-figure startup packages. Even in math, we're putting up 6-figure startup packages to attract faculty. And my chairs are always coming to me. And I'm not going to look at any particular chair, Doug, that or Paul, who are saying, yeah, we put together a large startup package, something in the high 900s, and we're losing people because they're getting startup package offers that are over $1 million. It's making the environment really difficult to compete. So even if we have the space, then you still have to equip that lab with stuff, and that stuff is expensive. So how do we balance between tenure track versus non-tenure track positions? That is something that is a constant worry. And of course, I think all of us have heard this year about the potential reductions in extramural funding. This is just a clip from the Chronicle of Higher Education, yesterday's article about worrying about how college budgets are going to be impacted over the next year. All of our faculty are concerned, and our junior faculty are particularly concerned about the impact of changes at the federal level about support for science. And this is more than just research. The GTAs who support classes, our postdocs who come in, and in math, those postdocs teach classes. That $27 million of extramural funding is helping to support some of those graduate students and those postdocs that are coming here to support the undergraduate programs. And so this is we've got concerns about this. But while there are these concerns, there's also new opportunities. And this is kind of the last bit of this, and I'll try and wrap up here in the next couple of minutes. We've taken a look at our strategic vision of where we want to take the college, and we've identified a few initiatives. One is not just data science, but also the science of data literacy. That's going to be a really big part of the future of the college and how we incorporate that into the mission of the college. How do we advance science-driven pre-health and clinical programs at Auburn? We in COSAM still believe the best pathway to the pre-health to the health profession is through COSAM, a science-driven approach for our doctors and dentists and physical therapists and all of those fields, okay? And how do we ensure that COSAM is the preeminent unit at COSAM that supports training in pre-health and clinical services? And how do we make sure that they have the best support services for that? And infrastructure. We have the new STEMAG, and I'll talk about STEMAG in a second. That's great, but our research facilities are also getting strained. How do we upgrade the current buildings to take us into the 2030s and hopefully lay the foundation for new facilities as we move into the strategic plan after this, as well as the development of new shared facilities. We're also planning this is something we just came back from, partnerships within the Americas. This is something that I've been advocating for the college for a while. So we just recently visited the University of Belize, University of the Virgin Islands, University of Puerto Rico. We have a partnership with Savannah State over in Georgia. And in spite of what that background looks like, we were doing hard work. No, we were really doing hard work. It was also about like 90-something degrees on there on a big white roof. That's the observatory deck for UVI. And to point out that it wasn't all fun and games, that was the plane that we flew on between St. Thomas and Puerto Rico. Our group represented half the passengers, and there was 3 of us on that plane. We had some fantastic discussions with potential partners in the healthcare area, in biomedical sciences, in marine science. There's some really amazing opportunities, I think, for our students and our researchers by considering how we partner in the Americas, because partnering in the Americas offers one thing that our partnerships in Europe and in Asia can't offer. We're all in the same time zone. And it makes teaching and co-teaching courses a real possibility. And that was one of the real exciting things that emerged from some of these discussions. Okay, STEMAG is going great. This is what it looked like almost exactly 1 year ago. This is building C. This was at the last Leadership Council in October. In February, this is what the site looked like. So the building we were looking at is building C. There was a camera looking at the end of building C. So C, then B and A. B and A are the 2 that are along Sanford. And this is what it looks like yesterday for building C. You can see it's actually getting wrapped in its brick. And this is what the complex now looks like. All 3 buildings are out of the ground. Building A here is almost completely sealed, and wrapped in its brick. Building B is now the black stuff, I've been told, is the water sealant, so the building is now water resistant. And building A, you can still see the concrete is there, but its roof is on compared to where we were in February. If I go back 2 slides, we are still on target for a May 2026 completion of the complex. We are expecting to be in STEMAG by summertime of 2026. So this is going to be, it's really quite amazing to watch 3 buildings being built simultaneously that so far are still on time. Yeah, that's do that. So their shells are completed. The wrap for building C is completed. We still need your help. We've got a long way to go to make sure that we can pay for these buildings. And but I think the move in fall 2026, maybe even by summer 2026 is still intact. I want to offer a thank you to all of you. Right now, we're doing great, and this is due to you. We have our various gifts to the college has yielded us over $4 million. We're at 80% of our goal and counting, and I hear good news from things this morning too. So that's awesome. For 2024, we blew past our goal. We raised $6.2 million on a $4.75 million goal. I cannot tell you how much we appreciate all the investments that you all have made into COSAM. You're making the whole team work hard. And now I'm going to say, well, come on, folks. I mean, every year we seem to be blowing away goals. So keep going up. And so, but we've got big things that we're thinking about in the future. So this is our history of our fundraising over the last 7 years or so. And as we are now building out our strategic plan, excuse me, we are trying to envision how we connect our future fundraising to our strategic plan. And one of those big areas, or several of those big areas, are including some cross-cutting activities to help expand our center program. We would like to have 2 or more new endowed professorships per department. But not only do we want to recognize our tenure track faculty, we also want to support our non-tenure track faculty who are so responsible for all of the excellent teaching that we do in COSAM. So we would like to actually envision that we have endowed lectureships for our non-tenure track faculty as well as an idea that we're thinking about endowed senior faculty. We tend to focus our endowed professorships at those new, energetic faculty who are making great contributions. We have some of our senior faculty who have had decades of impact on our college, and we want to also think about ways that as they are making the transition to the next phase of their career, how do we capture the work that they have done and the impacts that they have made to the college often over decades, in order to be able to envision how they can make one final contribution to the college. And that's what we're thinking about those. We would like to have some endowed postdoc researchers, funds for excellence, thinking about how we're going to retain our excellent faculty and staff, and then have endowments that support some of the key programs that we have in the college, our outreach programs, the Summer Bridge, the Arboretum, the Museum of Natural History, and how we support the STEM education that we do in the college. And so working with our advancement team, we've got ideas about how we're going to be able to do that. And also, I think it's on the next slide here. Yes, it is. I'll start with the bottom. There is an Auburn Capital campaign now that there is a completion of the university strategic plan. And so we would envision that a number of these activities are also going to be connected to that larger capital campaign that the university is going to do. 2026 is pretty exciting. This is not the logo. This is just something I threw together. So if anyone's got graphic arts ideas for making a really good 40th anniversary logo, please go ahead and send them my way. But the college is getting ready to support, to celebrate its 40th anniversary. Rural medicine program will be celebrating its 20th anniversary. And I think I can kind of confidently say that STEM Ag is also going to be opening in 2026. I'm still cautious because it's construction and we all know how construction goes. But 2026 could be a really transformative year for the College of Sciences and Mathematics. New facilities are celebrating some really big things that we do. And I hope you're going to join us in this journey as we make that transition to our 40th year. And so I'll end with, we have a new strategic vision for how we move the college forward. Our faculty, our staff, our students are doing amazing things to improve the lives of the citizens of Alabama. And we will have new facilities in the next year that's going to improve, that's going to provide world-class facilities for teaching and learning and research, and also provide modern spaces for our faculty and our staff. And so I think that we are in a fantastic position to lay the groundwork for the next 4 decades for this college. And I'm really excited for what the next year and the next several years are going to bring. So with that, open it up to any questions that folks may have. And then before we go on to lunch, I also want to make sure we take a few minutes because we've got to recognize a couple of those amazing faculty that are here in this room. So thank you very much. Okay. Yeah, yes, Susan.
Well, first I'm going to make a statement, but and then I'll ask my question, which are 2 different things. And I want to thank you for recognizing Department of Mathematics of not just supporting the College of Science and Mathematics. I mean, yeah, but to supporting the university overall. Usually all is talked about is how small the number of mathematics majors are, but it's a total different as far as how it supports the university. So that's just a comment. The other thing that I didn't understand was the iSTEM. I don't really understand, from the little bit you said, what iSTEM is and who it supports.
Right. So the iSTEM, and there was a lot of information, so I went, wait, yeah. 1 slide shares, 1 slide next year. Some people had 1 slide. There was a lot of information. So the iSTEM connectory is actually based in the COSAM outreach activities that we already are doing, but it is an envelope in which we want to capture, in which what they proposed was to capture an even broader ecosystem of not only the outreach that we're doing for K-12, but also how do you then connect that more broadly to the whole region, as well as being able to pull in a lot of disparate activities that are being done in STEM outreach and put them all together in a single package, if you will. And so it is it's building on a strong record of COSAM outreach and expanding that, with COSAM as the hub, but also building it across the institution as well. So that's kind of what it was actually really interesting because when Mark and I kind of were working through the ideas of what these centers were, we were thinking kind of only research-based centers. This one actually was one of the fastest ones, and frankly, probably one of the real early successes of our center development program. It was not what we had envisioned, but they actually came up with a really impressive vision of how they could build their programs as well.
Yes, in terms of the student levels, I know the trustees at one time had like a 30,000 student goal, and I know we've blown through that some time ago, but
Yeah.
do the trustees have a new kind of target number? Have they established that to kind of the maximum student level?
That's an excellent question. So I would describe it as, yes, I believe the trustees have a number. I think the president has a different number. Um, and so let me describe it this way. So Auburn is still a tuition revenue driven organization. There's a balance, this is not a cheap place, certainly not more expensive than it used to be. And so tuition revenue is a big driver of our budget. Auburn has, I think the one thing that has remained constant is the commitment for Auburn to remain primarily an institution that supports students from Alabama. And you saw that in that graph. Even as the university's grown, we've maintained our commitment to have more than 50% of the students be Alabama students. But it's a hard thing. A student from outside the state pays 3 times tuition than a student in state. So if we wanted to fix a budget problem, all you'd have to do is to switch it from 55-45 Alabama and non-resident, you flip it, and you could actually generate a huge amount of income. But we're the land grant, and we're still firmly committed that our mission is to serve the citizens of Alabama. And so there's a lot of tension. There is honestly just tension. We can grow, we'll increase our revenue, we'll have more students, that's all really good, but then it puts pressure on the services that we can actually provide to those students, and it puts pressure on the educational mission as well. So it's a really complicated balancing act. That's a long way to say that the board may set a number in the future, but they have not set one yet. But they may just decide, you guys need to be here, but we don't know that. That is actually way above my pay grade.
With all the recent Supreme Court decisions and executive orders and things, how are we working to keep the Summer Bridge program, for example, still working?
Well, that's a great question. The Summer Bridge program and programs like that in the college, we have never used race-based admissions at the institution. Our Summer Bridge program is if Kim would consult, you look at the photos of the students. It's a diverse mix of students. We are trying to make sure that we provide the maximum number of opportunities to all Alabama students. That's been our mission, and that continues to be the mission of what we do in the college. Yes, we are in a challenging environment right now. We completely admit that, but there are no programs that we have in the college, that are restricted to a gender, a race, or anything. We don't have programs like that, and we've never had programs like that. But it is a challenging environment, and we're trying to navigate that as best as we can. My hair is going more and more gray as it is. So first of all, let me just say, I'm happy to answer other questions as we come up. I also want to save time for our lunch, but I mostly want to take a few minutes to recognize a couple of our really amazing faculty. So I'm going to start. Evangelos, do you have, who goes first? Okay, perfect. So every year, COSAM tries to recognize its faculty for the amazing things that they do. You know, with um, uh, with your continued help, we can provide ways to support our, okay, sorry. That's my advertisement for our faculty. But COSAM, under Dean Giordano, established two particular awards that COSAM supports for our faculty. And one of them is our Young Faculty Scholar. This year's recipient is Dr. Evangelos Miliordos from the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry. So Evangelos, come on up. So, the Young Faculty Scholar Award is given to a faculty member that is within 5 years of their most recent promotion. So Evangelos is an associate professor. He does computational chemistry and is also just recently led one of our faculty searches for the next computational faculty member in chemistry and biochemistry. And so this is a 5-year award. He will have some support added for his research over the next several years. So on behalf of the College of Sciences, okay, these are all way wrapped up. All right, now you get to see the incompetence of a physicist because I'm just going to be pulling stuff out here. There we go. Okay, so on behalf of the College of Sciences and Mathematics, congratulations.
Thank you very
Evangelos.
much.
I'm not sure what this is, but I'm told I have to give it to you. So there you go.
Thank you.
All right. So Evangelos is going to take a couple of minutes to just describe. So slides are yours. And actually, I'm going to give this.
All right, good morning. Can you hear me or should go? Okay, right. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Dean Thomas for his continued support. This is the second time he's giving me an award. Okay? And I have to say that I feel really blessed the last 10 years to be part of the COSAM family. And I'm glad that to be here today, first of all, because I haven't realized how important your support is. On behalf of our faculty, thank you very much. It's very important for us, what you're doing. And I'm a computational chemist, so I would like also to thank my chair because he nominated me for this award as well. And I'm a computational chemist, so my chair doesn't want me to hang around chemistry labs. I'm very dangerous. So, but I think we're very good at using theory and specifically quantum mechanics, quantum theory, to provide, and supercomputers, to provide some suggestions, some guidance, solutions for some modern challenging chemistry problems. And I would like, I don't know if I can share some slides, like for 5 minutes, I'm not gonna make you feel very bored, just to share with you some exciting work we're doing in my research group. Should I just, what? Okay, it's this one here. All right, good, excellent. So as computational, our main idea is to provide solutions by actually thinking the opposite way that scientists are thinking. I call it reverse thinking. And I'm just gonna tell you a few things about a couple of projects we're working on. So the first one, which has to do with what we call computational catalysis, has to do with converting methane to methanol. So we produce, as a nation, we produce a lot of methane through, that means natural gas, right? For non-chemists, that's the natural gas that we're producing. And what we're doing right now with natural gas is mostly burning it, okay? So we want to find ways to convert it to methanol, because methanol, first of all, is liquid and it's a raw material to make other commodity chemicals. So we want to do that very efficiently, and if possible, on the site where we actually produce methane, because methanol is liquid, so we can transport this, even fuel, we can use it as a fuel. So we have to find ways to do it that efficiently. The main problem in chemistry, and I'm showing the molecule of methane here, it has a carbon and 4 hydrogen atoms, is that the CH bond, that what we have to do is introduce an oxygen atom right here. So we have to activate the CH bond, we say that. And that's challenging because the CH bond of methane is very strong and is stronger than that of methanol. So if a catalyst can activate methane, can activate methanol too. So it's very hard to stop the reaction of methanol. And the catalysts we have, they keep converting methanol to some byproducts that we don't want, okay? And the way that other groups think about this problem is to make catalysts that have an environment not friendly for methanol. We call it hydrophobic, and trying to keep away methanol from the catalytic center. And that doesn't work very well. And so what we thought is, let's try the opposite. Let's make an environment that is not as, it's more friendly to methanol. And it turns out that we demonstrated theoretically that that's a good idea, because this friendly environment to methanol is keeping, it's holding somehow methanol a little further from the catalyst, but far enough to make the conversion slower. So the goal is not to avoid, we cannot avoid, we know that, we cannot avoid the oxidation of methanol, but we can do it very slow at a level that practically doesn't happen. So this is the idea we're trying to explore further computationally. The other problem we're working on is carbon dioxide. I guess you all know that carbon dioxide is in the atmosphere, and we want to find ways to capture it, but also to convert it to some chemicals that we use in daily life. And one way is to convert it to lactones that we can make polymers. Now, the way we're doing that right now in science is that we capture it with some system which are called polyamines. And then after we capture it, we have to release it from these polyamines and transport it to some catalytic system. And that's the problematic step, because we need energy for that. We need energy to release it from these polyamines and transport to some catalysts. And the catalysts are usually positively charged. So we have some collaboration with Johns Hopkins, and what they figure out and we figure out together is that if we use not positively charged catalysts that are used right now, we use negatively charged catalysts. So you have a metal center which is negatively charged, so it's the opposite direction. You can actually do both at one step. These negatively charged systems has been shown experimentally and computation from us that can capture CO2, and because the metal center can do catalysis too. So that's what we're exploring right now. That's the second direction. The last research direction I'm going to talk to you about has to do with quantum computing, and we're trying to find molecular systems that can work efficiently as quantum computing hardware, okay? And how chemists do that is that they use electrons and the spin of the electrons to store this information, the quantum, the digital information, and they use electrons that belong to atoms. The problem with that, we call them valence electrons. The problem with that is that these electrons cannot hold this information long enough to be processed. And so the idea we have is not to use valence electrons, but we use electrons, we call them diffuse electrons, that don't belong to atoms. They hang around the molecules, and I'm showing an example here. There's a molecule in the middle, and there are electrons moving around. And it turns out that if you make materials out of that, which have not been made experimentally yet, this is our theoretical results, and they show that they're very promising. And the reason is because exactly they're further from the nuclei, they can hold this information longer because the interactions are weaker, and so they don't lose this information. And we propose some materials like what I'm showing here, where you have a surface and you can put some units that can hold these diffuse electrons. And the other advantage of these systems is that we win another challenge. We found a solution for another challenge, which is scalability. You want to have many of those arranged on a surface because you can reduce the errors that these machines make, right? Every computer makes errors. And so you need to have some of them that actually correcting your errors. So this is our recent work, and overall, we hope that our work will induce the experimental interest, and we hope that we're going to provide solutions that will make COSAM and Auburn famous for that, okay? So again, thank you very much for your support. And I have one more slide that has to do, we're also interested in chemical education, and specifically the chemical bonding, which is a topic that many undergraduates struggle with. And what we're trying to do is that when we teach general chemistry and we teach chemical bonding, we introduce so many different theories to explain all different molecules. And sometimes we add some more theory to explain some exception. But it turns out that if you actually remove some of these different concepts that confuse students, you can make a simpler theory that can actually explain almost every molecule, the chemical bonding in every molecule. And we have made some jigsaw pieces and some three-dimensional pieces I'm showing here. And we offer this module at the Summer Science Institute here at Auburn, where we invite high school students. And we teach them this kind of ideas, and I think they find useful. What we want to do next is start teaching here, the undergrads here in our school, and see how it goes. I think that's all I wanted to share with you today. Again, thank you very much, Dean Thomas, and thank you all, and God bless you all. Thank you very much. You're welcome. That's right. Yes. All right.
Okay, there you go. So, Latoya, who also keeps me up to date, says that there's a note in there that tells you that you will be awarded for the 5K for the next 5 years. Let's read what's in the envelope. Okay, all right. So, and our second award, for a faculty member is our Service Outreach Award. And this year it is going to Rachel Prado, also from the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry. And so Rachel is a senior lecturer in the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry. She is one of the gems of our educational program. Not only does she teach literally hundreds and hundreds
1,000 students at last.
and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of undergraduates. Her methods of active learning and active teaching, she is one of those faculty members who also teach faculty how to teach better. And so, Rachel, on behalf of the College of Sciences and Mathematics, congratulations for being to receive our Service Outreach Award for 2025.
Thank you. This goes. Okay. I had to write mine down. Very sorry. So I wanted to start by thanking everyone. It's truly an honor to receive this Service and Outreach Award. I'm especially grateful that the award mentions both service and outreach, because much like my children, I love both service and outreach equally, and you cannot make me pick a favorite. So as a senior lecturer, my contract states that 90% of my time is devoted to teaching, with only 5% allocated to service and outreach. And you know, some ask me why do I dedicate my actual time to what I'm doing during the day so much to service and outreach? But to me, it is very simple. When you have leaders who support your goals, why wouldn't you give it your all? So I want to start at the beginning, right? That when I first joined the faculty, lecturers, we weren't included in important departmental decision making. And I wanted to be a part of a department that saw me as an equal, not just hired teaching help. So I volunteered to serve on search committees, which is always a useful thing when you're a chair, I know. And I really raised the concern with my chair, Doug. And what our department did is we formed a working group and we actually voted to change the status quo so that all faculty members felt equal in the department. And it turns out when people feel valued and have a voice in their department, they go above and beyond the percentages assigned. So I saw an opportunity for broader change at the COSAM level, and my colleagues and I met with Kim, who helped us establish the first ever non-tenure track faculty committee at a college level inside of Auburn. And we've actually spread this model to the College of Liberal Arts and College of Engineering. And this gave us a voice to advocate for real improvements, small and large. One of the first issues that we tackled was retention, right? Because we actually have about a 50% turnover rate with lecturers, and that's getting better, but we want to really lower that. And there's a lot of reasons why lecturers weren't staying at Auburn, but one of the major reasons is job title. At Auburn, we have 5 non-tenure track faculty lines. We have research professor, extension professor, clinical professor, professor of practice, and lecturers, right? One of those things is not like the others. So what we wanted was to elevate teaching to a professor title series, right? And we kind of, as a committee, we brought this to Ed, and he said, we can't just do this in COSAM. This is a college level initiative. And he didn't brush us aside. He helped us strategize. And I received my first opportunity to meet with the provost about this issue because Ed made sure that I was in the room. And I'll never forget when he told the provost, you need to talk to Rachel about this initiative. And then when our committee, we were struggling to kind of finalize the proposal, Maggie stepped in to guide us, and she's advocated behind the scenes for us, and it worked. It gained traction, and it has now been passed by the Senate, and the second with the 60 votes in favor. And while our teaching professor title series is not finalized, it's in the provost office and it will need Board of Trustees approval. I'm very confident that when it's finalized, a teaching professor will better reflect what we are actually doing at Auburn. I don't just spend my time teaching, I mentor students. I do research into the scholarship of teaching and learning. And I want to have an opportunity to have that really prestigious title. This change would actually be transformative for lecturers across campus. So advocating for the teaching professor title series, this gave me the confidence to serve COSAM more broadly. I'm a Big EO faculty fellow, so I design workshops and professional development for COSAM faculty, like our OSSI, which is our summer STEM Teaching Institute. And also I have a Gradescope one April 10th. So I'm also the University Senate Secretary-elect, and I'm able to bring our needs directly to the provost and president. What are COSAM faculty struggling with? So just as service has been a rewarding, so is my outreach work. It's been an absolute blast judging science fairs and leading GUTS demo, and I have a sticky worm demo that I share with kids. But last summer, I asked Mary Lou if there were other opportunities with her office, and she immediately said yes. And one of my first assignment was, just like Evangelist shared, the Summer Science Institute. And I worked with Alan to understand how the program was funded and the amazing scholars all week that we have on campus. I worked with Science Matters. I created chemistry demos and various groups. But I think my favorite and my largest accomplishment was helping Mary Lou bring her Consortium Center for Informal STEM Learning to life. That's been one of the proudest achievements that I've been a part of that. So we're calling it the iSTEM Connectory, and it's initiatives that fosters collaboration, and it breaks down silos across campus. And it's already revived programs like the Alabama's Invention Convention and built a STEM ecosystem. And we're helping faculty write grants for research to bring more dollars in. And over 1,000 people in Alabama have been impacted, and we're just getting started. And this is one of those center initiatives that Mark is leading. And none of this would have been possible without the support of our dean, associate deans, my incredible chair, Doug, and every single chair. Ash, Tim, and Paul have always met with me to discuss important issues. So this isn't luck, what we have in COSAM. It's about fostering an environment where everyone has the opportunity to contribute regardless of tenure status. And if I've learned one thing, it's that when people feel a true sense of belonging, they go above and beyond. So my one request to all of you COSAM leaders is to keep empowering people and watch what they accomplish, because I believe we'll be surprised at what they can do. So thank you very much.
Oh, something like that. Yeah.
As a Big EO faculty fellow, we work with all kinds of faculty on campus. I like to focus on COSAM faculty, and we make lots of resources for faculties. Videos are one of them of how to do active learning. And then I record my lectures so students watch it before class. A lot of my former students, y'all know the drill for that. But yeah, COSAM supports initiatives that help our faculty teach better. And we don't want to get rid of lecturing, because lecturing is very important, but we want to give students, all students, an opportunity to think about what they've learned and apply it in the classroom.
Sounds so fascinating. Some of us that actually watch or access
Yeah,
videos.
we're building at Big EO Center, we are building a course on how to learn. And I'm sure they would love to have people kind of in that class learning more about the process. Yeah, absolutely. I can connect with you afterwards. Answer that.
And I got a thing for you too.
Oh, okay. I'm glad to, I'm gonna be here all afternoon.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there was, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a mailing list as well. If anyone would like to add to the iSTEM connector or keep everyone updated on what's going on. And Mary Lou is really, this vision of hers has just really exploded. It's amazing. Oh, wow. Yeah, that sounds amazing. Thank you.
Anything? So while Rachel is, you can come on. Okay, on our trip that we just recently did, one of the really fascinating things, Rachel, was that we have some of these university partners that we went to were actually asking about how we do COSAM training for our faculty. I got some questions for you. How do you feel about Belize? Yeah, all right. That's actually not a joke, that we actually have a thing. Hey Doug, we might be stealing your person for a while. Okay, never mind. No. All right. So we are just a little bit past 12. I'm gonna turn it over to Will to tell me what I'm gonna do next.
Sure. So feel free to take a quick stretch break as we transition to lunch. And Fran, are we good or we're actually good? And so lunch is actually going to be served in this far Goodwin room. So you'll enter there, and then we've got a great spread in there, and just come back to your table. We want you to really use this time. Of course, our students that are here, we want you to feel free to ask questions and learn and soak up everything you can. Our students that are here are our COSAM leaders, some of our best and just most wonderful COSAM students. And so please take this opportunity to network. And of course, leaders, I want you to get, leadership council members, I want you to get to know some of our dynamic students that are just out of this world. So So feel free to stretch, go ahead and form a line over there and help yourself to lunch.